We live in a time where people share their lives online but hide their hearts in real life. A time where you can talk every day, feel deeply connected, know each other's fears, dreams, and wounds, yet never know what you are to each other. No labels, no clarity, just a bond that feels real but remains unnamed. And that's the question we're finally asking today. Why do modern bonds have no labels? In the past, love had structure, friendship had boundaries, relationships had definitions. You knew where you stood. Today, everything is blurred. You text like lovers, care like partners, depend on each other emotionally. But when it comes to commitment, the answer is silence. Not because the feelings aren't there, but because labels now feel heavier than emotions. Modern bonds avoid labels because labels demand responsibility. A label means expectations, it means accountability. It means showing up not just when it feels good, but when it feels uncomfortable. And in a generation raised on instant gratification, discomfort feels like danger. So instead of risking loss, people choose ambiguity. They stay close enough to feel something, but distant enough to escape when it gets real. Another reason modern bonds have no labels is fear of vulnerability. A label exposes you. It tells the world and yourself that you care. And caring deeply today feels risky. People carry unresolved trauma, past heartbreaks, emotional abandonment, and unhealed wounds. So instead of saying this is my person, they say let's see where it goes, not because they don't feel it, but because they're afraid to feel it fully. We are also living in the age of options. Social media has created the illusion that someone better is always one swipe away. When you believe better might be coming, you hesitate to commit to what's already here. Labels feel final, and modern minds are addicted to endless possibilities. So bonds stay undefined, not because they lack depth, but because people don't want to close doors they haven't even opened yet. Modern bonds also lack labels because emotional intimacy has replaced commitment. People now connect deeply without building foundations. They share trauma, secrets, late-night conversations, and emotional dependence without ever agreeing on what they are building. It feels intense, it feels meaningful, but it floats without direction. And anything without direction eventually creates confusion instead of security. There's also a silent belief today that labels ruin things, that once you define a bond, it loses its magic. That commitment kills excitement, that clarity leads to boredom. So people try to preserve the spark by avoiding definition. But what they don't realize is that uncertainty doesn't protect connection. It slowly erodes it. The human heart doesn't thrive in confusion. It survives, but it doesn't feel safe. Another painful truth is that some people enjoy the benefits of a relationship without the responsibility of one. They want the emotional support, the attention, the loyalty, without offering security in return. No label gives them freedom while the other person lives in quiet hope. This is where modern bonds hurt the most. One heart waits, the other avoids. Modern bonds also have no labels because communication has weakened. Instead of honest conversations, people rely on assumptions. Instead of asking what are we, they fear the answer. Silence becomes easier than truth. But silence doesn't stop the question. It just pushes it deeper into the heart, where it grows heavier over time. And here's the hardest part. Many unlabeled bonds feel deeper than labeled ones. Because when there are no rules, emotions run wild. The intensity feels stronger. The connection feels rare. But intensity is not stability. And depth without direction often leads to loss instead of growth. The truth is, labels are not the problem. Fear is. Fear of commitment. Fear of loss, fear of being seen, fear of choosing wrong, fear of giving your heart and not getting it back. So modern bonds stay undefined, floating between almost and never, between connection and confusion. But here's something we don't talk about enough. A bond without a label doesn't mean it's meaningless. Some connections are real, powerful, and transformative even without definition. They teach us, they awaken us, they show us parts of ourselves we never knew existed. But a bond meant to stay unlabeled forever will eventually demand a price, and that price is usually clarity or heartbreak. At some point, every soul asks the same question: am I safe here? Am I chosen? Do I belong? And if a bond cannot answer that, then no matter how deep it feels, it will start to hurt. Modern bonds have no labels because people are still learning how to love in a world that taught them how to leave. They are unlearning old patterns and struggling to build new ones. They want connection without pain. Love without loss, closeness without risk. But love has always required courage. And labels are not cages. They are agreements to protect what matters. If you are in an unlabeled bond, listen to your feelings. Confusion is not love's language, peace is. A bond that is meant to grow will not fear clarity. And a person who values you will not be afraid to define you. Because in the end, love doesn't disappear because of labels, it disappears because of avoidance. If this message resonated with you, if you felt this quiet confusion, this unspoken connection, this bond without a name, then you're not alone. This is the story of our generation. Like this video if it spoke to your heart. Share it with someone who lives in an unsaid bond. Subscribe to Unsaid Bond for more emotional truths, psychological depth, and stories we all feel but rarely say out loud. And remember this: some bonds are unlabeled because they are unfinished. Others are unlabeled because someone is afraid to choose. Know the difference, protect your heart, and never settle for confusion where clarity is deserved. This is Unsaid Bond.